Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Bolander. I am the career counselor at Mechanicsville High School, and I appreciate you joining us today as we do our virtual visit with George Mason University. Here with us today is Christina Badalis, and she is the Senior Regional Admissions Counselor for George Mason.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. Hi, as you said, my name is Christina, and I work with students who are from Richmond all the way down to the Tidewater and Virginia Beach area. So I'm going to share my screen and kick things off with talking a little bit about Mason with some Mason background information, talking about our academic programs, and also talking about sort of the application and admissions process for Mason, what that looks like and what we are looking for. So can y'all see my screen okay? Awesome. All righty, and I will do my best to leave some time for questions at the end. So if there's anything that pops up that you are curious about, I will make sure that I address those questions as well. So to kick things off with a little bit of background information about Mason. So we are the largest public research university in Virginia. So we have over 26,000 undergraduate students and another 12,000 grad students on top of that as well. So we are pretty sizable when it comes to universities in Virginia. We're also the second largest residential campus in Virginia with over 6,000 students who live on campus year round. And what's really great about our student population and all of the wonderful students that we have at Mason is we're an incredibly diverse institution. We are very reflective of the Northern Virginia area and the diversity that that has. And we also have students who are from all 50 states and from over 130 different countries. So when you are able to come to Mason and pay a visit, hopefully in the future, you really get to see, students who are from all over the country and all over the world, hear languages from all over the world, and it's a really wonderful experience, a really wonderful community to be able to see firsthand. As I mentioned, we are located in Northern Virginia. We are right outside DC in Fairfax. And what is really great about Mason's location is that you get to keep all of the perks of being in Northern Virginia and everything that DC has to offer, but you also get to keep all of the perks of being within Virginia as well. Mason is still a traditional college campus, so you get to have that traditional campus experience rather than being in the hustle and bustle of the city all the time. You still get to have that little bit more of a quiet, relaxing environment. We're located in a bit more of a suburban area. And also, of course, because we're still within the state of Virginia, we do have Virginia in-state tuition rates versus paying out of state if we were in DC itself. But with being so close to the city, and it is very easy to get into DC, you get to take advantage of all the internship and job opportunities that are there. There are also ample opportunities for fun things to do outside of class, all of the museums, the monuments, the memorials. There's also plenty to do as far as entertainment goes. And with the food scene is incredible with, you can get food from pretty much anywhere in the world as you are wandering around the city and exploring. So you really get the best of both worlds of city living as well as the traditional college campus environment. When it comes to Mason academics, we have a lot for our students to choose from. So we have over 80 different majors that span a wide array of fields. So whether you are interested in going into a STEM program, whether you want to go into humanities and social sciences, or maybe the visual and performing arts, Mason has programs that encompass all of those areas. So if you're interested in engineering, maybe it's forensic science or neuroscience. Maybe you want to go into government or criminology. Maybe creative writing is what you're passionate about. Perhaps you want to become a social worker or a teacher. Perhaps you are a musician or you're a budding filmmaker or really into game design. Mason has all of those programs along with many, many more for you to be able to explore and be able to figure out what it is that you're passionate about and then pursue that in your academics. We also have some opportunities where you can add on some additional experiences to your major at Mason. For example, we have 200 plus different minors and concentrations. So if you're looking to add a little bit of extra to your curriculum, if perhaps you're looking to just pursue something that you're passionate about in addition to your major, you can absolutely do that as well. Another opportunity is that we do have accelerated master's programs as well. And with the accelerated master's programs, you have the opportunity to graduate with both your bachelor's and master's degree earlier than you typically would. So in a traditional bachelor's and master's program, you would have 4 years for a bachelor's degree and then 2 years for the master's degree. So you'd have 6 years total. With the accelerated program, you instead are able to graduate in 5 years with both degrees. So you save yourself a year of time and tuition. We also have an accelerated law program. So if you are interested in going on to law school, you also have that opportunity to save that year. And the accelerated law program is going to be 6 years rather than the standard 7 years that you would usually encounter in order to get your law degree. What's also really great about Mason's academics is that even though we are a large school, it doesn't feel like that in the classroom. So our average class size is still between 25 to 35 students, which means you're able to really develop those close relationships with your faculty and with your staff. That way you're able to really get to know them and get to know the people who have that real world experience in the fields that it is that you want to work in. While you'll of course have some larger classes when you're in your general education classes, which we call the Mason Core, large is still relative at Mason because we only have a handful of halls on campus that can hold more than 100 students. So large at Mason isn't too large really. So you're still really able to develop those close relationships with your professors. Another academic opportunity that you can add on to your experience at Mason is our Honors College. And the Honors College stems from our status as a Tier 1 research university. So the Honors College is teaching our students how to do college level research, and it's applicable to any major or any program. So whether you're a STEM student or whether you're an art student or anything and everything in between, the Honors College is an opportunity for any student. And what's really great about the Honors College is that research is embedded into all of the Honors College classes. So you're really getting this immersive research experience. The Honors College classes also replace all of the general education requirements. So rather than doing classes, things like Intro to English Composition, Surveys of History courses, sort of like Psychology 101, you don't do those courses, you're doing these Honors College research courses instead. The Honors College is also a smaller cohort of students. For context, we typically have about 4,000 new freshmen every year, and then about 400 to 500 of those are within the Honors College program. So with that smaller cohort, you really have the feel of being at a smaller liberal arts institution, but you get to maintain all the benefits of being at a large public research university. The Honors College marries those two things together. Another great academic opportunity that we offer is our study abroad programs. And there we keep it flexible when it comes to studying abroad because you can study abroad any year that you're at Mason, including freshman year. With our Global Gateways program, you do your first semester at the Mason Fairfax campus, and then you can do your second semester overseas. If freshman year isn't the year that you want to study abroad, you can still study abroad sophomore, junior, or senior year. And the list of countries that you can go to as part of study abroad just grows and grows. We have over 75 different countries that we currently have study abroad programs to, and those are happening year round. We have traditional semester-long programs, but we also have winter break, spring break, and summer break programs. That way you can go abroad at the time that works for your academic schedule and also for the length of time that works for your budget. You have that flexibility to make it work for you. Also with study abroad, even if we don't have a program that currently goes to the country that you might be interested in, or perhaps there's a specific university you want to go to, the study abroad department can still work with students to be able to create that sort of tailored, unique study abroad experience to get you wherever it is that you want to go. Next, when it comes to the Mason community, there is so much to do and so much to be involved in. We have a very vibrant and active student community, and I really encourage students when they're considering Mason and hopefully one day coming to Mason to get involved, because you'll find that the community is incredibly welcoming and really wants to make everyone feel like they are a part of the Patriot family. So just some of the ways that you can get involved at Mason include our 450 plus student clubs and organizations. We have language and culture clubs. We have dance clubs on campus. We have mentorship and tutoring program clubs. We also have ones that are based upon shared career interests. And we also have some that are just for fun. For example, if anyone is interested in gaming, we have an esports gaming club, for example. So there are a lot of different clubs and orgs to become involved with. If sports are more of your thing, we are Division I in the Atlantic 10 Conference for our varsity sports. But we also have intramural and club sports, where if you're wanting to be involved athletically, but perhaps you don't want the competition of a varsity team, you can still participate in a club or an intramural team as well. We do have Greek life on campus too, so if you want to join a fraternity or sorority, that is also an option. And then, of course, we have our pep bands for anyone who is musically inclined, and the pep band is called the Green Machine. The Green Machine goes to sports games and is out there to support our student athletes. And it's a really great opportunity if you have been involved in music to be able to continue your love for music in college. And it is open to any instrument, and I mean any instrument because I have played the electric harp for them in the past. So anything is on the table when you're thinking about the Green Machine, including if you are a vocalist, they do have singers as part of the pep band as well. All right, so I'm going to pivot on over to talking about our application process and what it is that we are looking for when students are applying to Mason. To start off, we are a Common App school, so you can apply to Mason through the Common App, or we do have our own application if that's what you would prefer to do instead. What I usually recommend is if you have other schools that you're applying to that use the Common App, just go ahead and do Mason on the Common App as well. But if it turns out that your other schools are using a different type of application or just have their own applications, then I recommend going ahead and using the Mason application simply because it is shorter than the Common App and a little bit simpler. So whichever one it is that is going to be less effort and less work for you to have to do, especially amidst all of the busyness that's senior year, that's the one I recommend. Now, when it comes to applying to Mason, we also do what is called a holistic review process, which means that we like to evaluate students as so much more than just a number. And because of that, there are a fair number of things that we ask our students to submit, but it's really important to submit them because it allows us to get to know you on a much more personal level and be able to know you again as more than just a GPA or a test score. So even if an item is optional, it is still highly recommended to do it. That way it helps us with that holistic review process. The first item that you'll be sending in with your application is, of course, going to be your high school transcript, and that does need to be sent to us officially from your high school. Now, with the transcript, we don't just stop when we see the GPA. We're going to be looking at how you got to that GPA and all the factors that have influenced that. So, for example, we will look at your grade trend. We will look at if you've taken any advanced coursework, and we're also going to be looking at you within the context of your own high school. We don't compare students across different high schools because high schools are always different in terms of what you have access to and what resources you have available. So we're not going to compare students to different schools that they didn't attend. Also, when it comes to context on your transcripts, if there is other information that you think is important to understand the grades that you have, we really invite students to tell us about that. So for example, we have a lot of students who we are already hearing from them how much the pandemic impacted their academics, and especially when there was that transition to virtual learning. We've heard from students who perhaps they didn't have reliable internet access. We've heard from students who family members have lost jobs. We've had folks who had to move in the midst of the pandemic. We've had folks who got sick or had family members pass away. So while some students were able to do really well during virtual learning and some folks really enjoyed that and thrived in that type of environment, other folks didn't. And we want to make sure that we can take that into account as well if there were those outside circumstances that were impacting your academic performance. And we'll try and do so as long as you tell us about those things. Next item that you might be sending in are going to be standardized test scores. And you are not required to send these into Mason. You have the choice to either submit test scores or apply to us as score optional. We review students who apply with and without test scores equally. So, and that applies to admission, to the Honors College, and also to merit scholarship. So there's no extra benefit to sending test scores, and there's no detriment to not sending test scores. Everyone is on an even playing field. So if you've taken the SAT or the ACT and you like your scores and you want them to be included, feel free to send them in. But if tests aren't your thing, perhaps you didn't do really well, or you just haven't had the chance to take a test, you can apply score optional, and that's no worries whatsoever. What Mason will also do is if you submit your test scores and you're actually better off as score optional, then we will switch your application over to score optional while we are reviewing you. So you don't have to worry about, what happens if I make the wrong decision, because we'll always do what is in your best interest. So if you are not sure if you should or shouldn't send your test scores, feel free to send them in and leave it up to us to determine that. And again, we will always do whatever is in your best interest. Next thing you'll be sending in is actually within the application itself. You're going to tell us about your extracurricular activities, and those can include activities that you're involved in that are associated with school, or if you're involved in things outside of school as well. So for example, perhaps you work a part-time job outside of school, you can add that to your extracurricular activities list. And I personally love to see that kind of a thing on there. So please feel free to tell us about things that you are involved in both ways. For letters of recommendation, we are looking for 2 to 3 letters, and we encourage our students to select recommenders who can talk about them in a positive, personal, and professional manner. So it's the 3 Ps are the things to remember when it comes to your letters. Then there is going to be an essay opportunity. There's both a Mason essay as well as a Common App essay. And while the essays are not always required, I really encourage the essays because that is one of your best chances to really talk directly to us in the admissions office and to really express your personality in your application. I will add, if you do apply score optional, that Mason essay is going to be a requirement. So you kind of want to imagine that if you are taking out one of the legs of a table per se that's supporting your application by applying score optional, you want to make sure that you are still having balance and stability. You're going to add a new leg to the table by putting in that essay to keep everything even. So again, if you apply score optional, you do need to do the Mason essay. However, you can do a video essay if you prefer instead of a written essay. And that is something that we absolutely love to see. We've got some really unique videos over the past couple of years. So if you prefer doing something involving videoing, taking, creating and developing something like that versus a written essay, you can absolutely do so. Now, if you apply to the Honors College, there will be a separate Honors College essay. And there are 2 prompts that will show up. If you say that you want to apply to the Honors College, you only need to answer one of those 2 prompts. Then finally, if you are applying to the College of Visual and Performing Arts, you'll need to check if you need to submit an audition or a portfolio. Those are a part of the application process for that department. Now, just because we get asked this question frequently, these are our average GPA and test scores. These are not hard and fast minimums. So about 50% of our students fall within these ranges, 25% fall above, 25% fall below. So it's a spectrum, it is not a minimum. So don't let the numbers scare you, especially because if you're applying score optional, those average SAT and ACT scores don't even apply to you. These are our application deadlines. We have 2 to choose from. We have an early action deadline, which is November 1st, and then we have regular decision, which is February 1st. Early action is non-binding. There's no commitment at all when it comes to applying early action, but there are some perks to applying early action. If you submit your application by November 1st, that is the deadline for consideration for the Honors College, for merit scholarship, and you will receive your decision notification in mid-December. If you apply regular decision, then those decisions start going out on a rolling basis, typically towards end of February, early March timeframe. And just last piece of information is if you are looking to learn more about Mason after today's little meeting, and you are excited about potentially being a patriot, we do have lots of ways for students to connect with us. If you are looking for virtual opportunities, we have virtual information sessions, virtual campus tours, and virtual events that will be taking place all year. If you'd like to come and visit us on campus, we are open for visits. We typically have visits happening Mondays through Saturdays. So if you'd like to be able to come experience the campus for yourself, which I highly encourage if you have the chance to, and you can absolutely do so and come and see us and be able to connect with one of our student ambassadors. We'll take you on a tour around campus. And very last thing before I turn things over for questions, this is just our contact information. So if you have any questions during the application process, or even if you just want to keep in touch with us and follow us for updates on social media, these are all of our social media sites, as well as our email and phone numbers. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will go and see if there are any questions.
So I have a quick question for you. As far as housing on campus, what does that look like, and how many years are you required versus what is the flexibility?
Sure. So when it comes to being required to live on campus, we only require freshmen live on campus. So you have the choice for sophomore, junior, and senior year if you would like to live on campus for those years. But we do have some students who like to take advantage of the ample renting opportunities in the Northern Virginia area. And so they'll oftentimes get a townhome or an apartment with some friends and do that instead for their upperclassmen years. So only required to live on campus for freshman year. When it comes to the type of housing we have available, for our freshmen, we have either traditional community style halls, or we have a select number of suite style halls for freshman year as well. And those suite style halls tend to take the form of 2 rooms connected by a Jack and Jill bathroom. Then when you get to your upperclassmen years, again, we have the suite style housing again. And then we have our, we have apartment style housing too. And then we have some off-campus townhomes, which are right down the road from campus, about a 5-10 minute walk. So those are all options for upperclassmen too.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see. I do not think there's any other questions in the chat. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up for today. You've given us a wealth of information about Mason and a lot of good ways to contact you. So we'll make sure to share that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day and are hopefully take a closer look at Mason and come and see us for yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.